The year was 2187. Humanity had spread across 12 worlds. They had built cities on distant planets. They had made friends with alien species. They had joined something called the Galactic Assembly, a group of 340 different alien races who worked together in peace. But humans were not important in this group. The aliens saw them as newcomers. They called humans a minor species. They tolerated humans but did not respect them. Humans were like small children at a table full of adults. They were allowed to sit, but no one listened when they spoke. Admiral understood this very well. He was 63 years old. He had gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in Earth's United Fleet for 40 years. He had fought pirates. He had protected trade ships. He had watched humanity grow from one small planet to 12 colonies spread across the stars. Was a quiet man. He did not speak often, but when he spoke, people listened. He had a way of looking at problems that others could not see. He planned 10 steps ahead. He never acted in anger. He was patient, like a stone waiting for water to pass. On this day sat in the command center on Earth. The room was dark. Giant screens covered the walls. 50 officers worked at their stations, watching data flow across their monitors. Then everything stopped. Every screen in the room changed. Every channel in the galaxy switched to the same broadcast. The face of an alien appeared. He was tall, with gray skin and 4 eyes. His teeth were sharp like needles. He wore golden armor that showed his high rank. This was Lord, High Commander of the Dominion. They were a proud species. They believed they were better than everyone else. They had been part of the Galactic Assembly for 3,000 years. They controlled 50 star systems. Their military was one of the strongest in the galaxy. And they hated humans. Lord smiled at the camera. His 4 eyes gleamed with pleasure. "Citizens of the galaxy," he said, "today we teach the humans a lesson they will never forget." The camera moved. It showed a city. Recognized it immediately. Knew a human colony of 10 million people, families, workers, children, old people, regular people living regular lives. Soldiers filled the streets. They had weapons in their hands. They were pushing humans into lines. Men, women, and children stood together, their faces full of fear. "Humans are insects," Lord continued. "They spread across space like disease. They take what is not theirs. They think they belong among the stars. They are wrong." The first shots rang out. Watched as soldiers opened fire on unarmed civilians. People fell. They screamed. They ran. But there was nowhere to run. The had surrounded the entire colony. The broadcast continued for 72 hours. 3 days of killing. They did not rush. They took their time. They made sure every camera captured every death. They wanted the galaxy to see. They wanted humans to watch their people die. In the command center, officers wept. Some vomited, some had to leave the room, but Admiral did not move. He sat in his chair and watched every second. His face showed nothing. His eyes never blinked. Dr. Park watched from a research station called Horizon, far from Earth. She was 41 years old, who studied alien life. She had spent her career trying to understand other species, trying to find common ground between humans and aliens. Now she watched aliens murder her people for sport. Had always believed in peace. She had always believed that understanding could solve any problem. As she watched children die on her screen, something inside her changed. A cold feeling spread through her chest. It was not sadness. It was not fear. It was something harder, something that would not break. Lieutenant was only 26 years old. She was stationed on a colony called Elysium, working as a tactical officer. She was smart and quick. Her commanders said she had a bright future. When the broadcast started, was eating dinner in the mess hall. She looked up at the screen and saw her mother's face in the crowd at noon. She watched her mother die. Did not scream. She did not cry. She simply stood up, walked to her quarters, and sat in the dark for 3 days. When she came out, her eyes were different. They were the eyes of someone who had lost everything and had nothing left to fear. The galaxy watched the massacre. 340 species saw what they did. The Galactic Assembly called an emergency meeting. They discussed the situation. They debated. They argued. They did nothing. Some species condemned them in private. Others secretly agreed with them. Most simply did not care. Humans were a minor species. What happened to minor species did not matter. When the broadcast finally ended, Lord appeared one last time. "Let this serve as a reminder," he said. "Humans are insects. Any insect that strays too far from its nest will be crushed. Know your place, humans, or we will remind you again." The screens went dark. In the command center on Earth, silence filled the room. Officers stared at blank screens. Some were crying. Some were shaking with rage. The world leaders had gathered behind, waiting for him to speak. Admiral stood up slowly. He was not a tall man, but in that moment he seemed to fill the entire room. He looked at the faces around him. He saw grief. He saw anger. He saw fear. He felt none of these things. He felt only cold certainty. The generals and politicians waited. They expected a speech. They expected words of comfort or calls for negotiation. They expected something human. Gave them something else. "No mercy," he said quietly. "No survivors." 4 words. That was all. But everyone in that room understood exactly what those words meant. They had wanted to teach humanity a lesson. They had wanted to show the galaxy what happened to insects who reached too high. They had made a terrible mistake. They had shown humanity that the galaxy would not protect them. They had shown humanity that aliens saw them as nothing. They had shown humanity that they were alone. And humanity had learned a different lesson than the one they intended. They learned that they could only count on themselves. They learned that peace was an illusion. They learned that the universe respected only one thing: power. Admiral walked out of the command center that night. Above him, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, they were celebrating their victory. They were laughing at human weakness. They were planning which colony to attack next. They did not know that they had just started a countdown to their own extinction. Looked up at the stars and made a silent promise to the 10 million souls who had died. Their deaths would not be forgotten. Their deaths would not be meaningless. Their deaths would be answered with thunder. And when the thunder came, the galaxy would remember it forever. 3 months passed after the massacre at Nu. The galaxy moved on. News channels talked about other things. Politicians discussed other problems. The 10 million dead humans became old news, forgotten by everyone except the humans themselves. They were pleased with themselves. Lord received medals and honors. He gave speeches about superiority. He warned other species to keep humans in their place. They believed they had solved the human problem forever. They noticed something strange, though. Human ships stopped appearing in galactic space. Human traders closed their businesses. Human diplomats went home. Human colonies went quiet. The aliens thought this was fear. They thought humans were hiding, licking their wounds, accepting their place at the bottom. Some alien species even felt sorry for the poor, broken humans. They were wrong. On Earth, Admiral had taken control of everything. The world governments gave him complete power. Every factory on Earth stopped making normal things. Cars, phones, furniture, none of it mattered anymore. Every factory now made only one thing: weapons. Ships, missiles, armor, guns, bombs, day and night the factories worked. Workers slept in shifts. No one complained. No one asked questions. Everyone remembered the broadcast. Everyone had seen the children die. General was in charge of the ground forces. He was 55 years old, a big man with a loud voice and a sharp mind. He had spent his career fighting small wars on distant colonies. Now he trained soldiers for the biggest war humanity had ever fought. Did not train his soldiers the normal way. He taught them to be ghosts. He taught them to strike fast and disappear. He taught them to show no mercy because their enemy would show none to them. "They think we are weak," told his soldiers. "They think we are soft because we love our families. They are fools. Our love makes us dangerous. A human fighting for revenge is dangerous. A human fighting for family is unstoppable." Deep beneath the mountains of Asia, Engineer Moon worked on secret projects. She was 38 years old, small and thin, with glasses that made her eyes look huge. She had been a peaceful scientist before the massacre. She had studied physics and dreamed of building machines that would help people. Now she built machines that would kill. Led something called the Prometheus Initiative. It was humanity's darkest secret. Thousands of scientists worked for her, creating weapons the galaxy had never seen. She built warheads, tiny robots that could eat through metal like acid. She built dimensional fold missiles that could appear anywhere without warning. She built planet crackers that could break a world in half. Every night, went to bed thinking about the children who died on Nu. Every morning, she woke up and built something more terrible than the day before. "I hate what I have become," she told Admiral one day, "but I hate them more." Nodded he understood, they all did. Captain commanded a new kind of ship called a stealth carrier. It was called the Reaper's Hand, and it was invisible to every sensor in the galaxy. Was 42 years old, calm and professional. He had lost his brother on Nu. The Reaper's Hand was just one ship in the Black Armada, had ordered 4,000 warships to be built in secret shipyards hidden inside asteroid fields. The ships were painted black to match the darkness of space. They had no lights. They made no signals. They were ghosts waiting to be born. While the military prepared for war, Dr. Park did different work. She studied the human spies captured soldiers and brought them to research station. She did not hurt them. She simply studied them. She learned how they thought. She learned what they feared. She learned how their bodies worked. And she discovered something important. They did not reproduce like humans. They had no families. Instead, they had hive clusters, giant biological structures buried deep underground on there. Every was born from these clusters. Without the clusters, no Nu could be born. Shared this information with Admiral. "If we destroy the hive clusters," she said, "they will go extinct within 3 generations. They will die of old age with no children to replace them." Was silent for a long moment. "You are asking me to end an entire species." "They killed 10 million of us for entertainment," replied. "They laughed while children died. I am not asking you anything, Admiral. I am giving you a choice." Made his choice. The hive clusters became primary targets. Lieutenant volunteered for the most dangerous mission. She would fly a small ship deep into territory. She would map every military base, every colony, every defense system. She would find the hive clusters. The mission took 4 months. Flew alone, hiding among asteroids, sneaking past patrol ships, gathering information. She almost died 17 times. She did not care. She had nothing left to lose. When she returned, she brought back everything humanity needed. Maps, coordinates, patrol schedules, weakness points. She had found all 12 hive clusters on the "Well done, Lieutenant," Admiral said. Did not smile. "I did not do it for medals, Admiral. I did it for my mother." The Galactic Assembly finally noticed that something was wrong. Human ships had been gone too long. Human colonies were too quiet. They sent an envoy to Earth to find out what was happening. The envoy was a tall alien with blue skin and kind eyes. He represented a species that had always been friendly to humans. He came with a message of peace. "The Assembly urges restraint," he told Admiral. "We understand your pain, but violence will only create more violence. They are powerful. If you attack them, you will lose. Please, let us help you find a peaceful solution." Listened politely, then he spoke. "For 72 hours we watched our people die. 10 million souls murdered for sport. The galaxy watched with us. 340 species saw what happened. Not one of them lifted a finger to help. The envoy shifted uncomfortably. The situation was complicated. They are dead, interrupted. They simply do not know it yet. You can tell the assembly this. You watched them murder our children for 3 days. You did nothing. Now you will watch what we do, and you will do nothing again because you are afraid. But this time you will not be afraid of you will be afraid of us. The envoy left Earth pale and shaking. Word spread through the galaxy. Humans were planning something big, something terrible. Some species laughed at the idea. Humans were weak. Humans were soft. What could they possibly do against the mighty? Other species were not so sure. They had seen something in human eyes that they had never seen before. It was not anger. Anger burned hot and faded quickly. This was something colder, something that would not stop. In secret shipyards, 4,000 black warships waited. In mountain bases, armies trained for war. In hidden laboratories, weapons of extinction took shape. And at the center of it all, Admiral waited patiently. He had learned patience in 63 years of life. He could wait a little longer. The still laughed and celebrated their victory. They still believed humans were insects. They still thought they were safe. In 6 months, they would learn the truth. The thunder was coming, and nothing in the galaxy would be able to stop it. 6 months had passed since the massacre. The galaxy had almost forgotten about the dead humans on New. Life continued as normal. Ships flew between stars. Traders made deals. Politicians argued about small things. Then the Black Armada appeared. Station was a military fortress on the edge of their territory. 200,000 soldiers lived there. It was the place where Lord had planned the new massacre. It was where the soldiers had trained before killing 10 million innocent people. Captain led the first wave. His stealth carrier, the Reaper's Hand, dropped out of fold space directly inside the defensive line. 20 other stealth carriers appeared with him. They came from nowhere, like ghosts stepping out of shadows. They did not even have time to sound alarms. Was calm as he gave orders. His voice was steady. His hands were still. Inside, he thought of his brother who had died on New. He thought of his brother's children who had never grown up. He thought of the laughter he would never hear again. "Launch warheads," he said. The warheads flew through space like silver rain. They hit ships and began to eat. There were tiny machines, smaller than dust. They broke down metal into nothing. They turned warships into floating garbage. Captains screamed into their communicators. They called for help. They tried to flee, but the Black Armada was everywhere. Human ships appeared from every direction. There was no escape. Admiral watched from his flagship, the Judgment. He stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back. His face showed nothing. Officers reported to him in quick, professional voices. Enemy fleet at 40% strength, Admiral. 30%. 20%. 10%. The battle lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, not a single ship remained. Debris floated through space. Broken metal, frozen bodies, silence. No escape pods ordered, no survivors. Human ships hunted down every who tried to flee. Every escape pod was destroyed. Every life raft was eliminated. The had shown no mercy on New. Humanity showed none at station. General led the ground assault. His transport ships landed on the station's surface while the space battle still raged above. Soldiers in black armor poured out, moving fast and quiet like shadows. The on the surface were confused. They had never faced an enemy like this. Human soldiers did not fight in lines. They did not follow normal rules. They appeared from nowhere, killed quickly, and vanished before anyone could react. Led from the front. He was a big man, hard to miss, but he moved with surprising speed. His rifle never stopped firing. His voice boomed through the communicator, giving orders, directing his troops. Building 7 is clear. Move to Sector 9. No prisoners, remember new. The fighting lasted 6 hours. When it ended, every on station was dead. Human casualties were light, 200 soldiers lost. They had lost 200,000. Walked through the station after the battle. He found a room that made him stop. It was full of trophies. Human skulls lined the walls. They were polished and displayed like decorations. Some were small children's skulls. On a big screen in the center of the room, the massacre broadcast played on loop. Soldiers had watched it for entertainment. They had laughed at human suffering. Stood very still for a long time. His soldiers waited behind him, afraid to speak. "Burn it," finally said. "Burn all of it, leave nothing." They burned the trophy room. They burned the bodies. They burned everything that could burn. When human ships left station, nothing remained but ash and silence. News of the attack spread across the galaxy like fire. Every species heard what had happened. 200,000 killed in less than a day. The mighty military destroyed by the weak humans. The Galactic Assembly called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 340 species gathered to discuss the crisis. "This is genocide," the representative screamed. "The humans are monsters. The Assembly must stop them." Other species nodded. Some looked worried. A few looked secretly pleased. They had bullied smaller species for centuries. Not everyone was sad to see them humbled. The Assembly voted on whether to intervene. The vote was close, but in the end they decided to do nothing. No one wanted to fight humans. Not anymore. Not after station. On Earth, people celebrated the victory. But it was not a happy celebration. It was a grim satisfaction. People did not dance or laugh. They nodded and went back to work. There was still more to do. Admiral gave a speech that was broadcast across all human colonies and all galactic channels. "For 72 hours you watched the slaughter our people," he said. "You called it a regional dispute. You said it was not your problem. You told us to accept our place." His voice was calm. His face was stone. "Now you call our response excessive. You call us monsters. You demand that we stop. Where were these demands when our children died? Where was your outrage when 10 million humans were murdered for entertainment?" He paused. The galaxy waited. "We do not seek your approval. We do not want your help. We seek justice. And we will have it with or without your blessing." They wanted to teach us a lesson. They wanted the galaxy to see what happens to humans who reach too high. Now the galaxy will see a different lesson. They will see what happens to those who harm us. The broadcast ended. Silence followed. Lord watched the speech from his palace on the. For the first time since the massacre, he felt something he had never expected to feel. Fear. He had thought humans would break. He had thought they would accept defeat. He had thought they were insects, easy to crush. He had been wrong. Called his generals together. They planned defenses. They gathered their remaining fleets. They sent messages to other species, begging for help. No help came. No one wanted to stand with the against humanity. The galaxy that had watched the massacre now watched the revenge. And just like before, they did nothing. In her laboratory, Dr. Park received reports from station. Her team had collected DNA samples during the battle. She studied them carefully, looking for weaknesses, looking for the key to ending the forever. Lieutenant was promoted to commander after station. She had provided the intelligence that made the victory possible. She accepted her new rank without smiling. "This is just the beginning," she said to Admiral. "Station was a fortress. We need to hit their colonies, their supply lines, everything." Nodded. "We will, step by step, planet by planet, until there is nothing left." Looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there her mother's killers were still alive, still breathing, still laughing perhaps. Not for long. The Black Armada regrouped. 4,000 ships prepared for the next attack. Soldiers cleaned their weapons and checked their armor. Engineers repaired damage and loaded new ammunition. They had started a war they thought they would never have to fight. They had believed humans were too weak, too soft, too afraid to strike back. They had learned the truth at station, but the lesson was not over yet. It was only beginning. 12 months had passed since the massacre on Nu. 6 months had passed since station fell. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity systematically destroyed the Dominion. Colony after colony burned. Fleet after fleet vanished. The mighty, who had ruled 50 star systems for 3,000 years, were being erased from existence. Admiral commanded the war from his flagship, the Judgment. He did not lead with anger or passion. He led with cold, mathematical precision. Every attack was planned weeks in advance. Every target was studied carefully. Every battle was won before it started. They tried to fight back. They gathered their remaining ships. They built new defenses. They trained more soldiers, but nothing worked. Every time they thought they were safe, human ships appeared from nowhere and destroyed everything. Captain became famous across the galaxy. His stealth carriers struck without warning, like ghosts in the night. He destroyed supply lines, communication stations, and command centers. They never knew where he would appear next. Did not enjoy the killing. He did not celebrate his victories. He simply did his job day after day, battle after battle. When reporters asked him how he felt, he always gave the same answer. I feel nothing. Feeling is for after the war. General conquered planets with terrifying efficiency. His ground forces had become legends. They moved like shadows, struck like thunder, and disappeared like smoke. Soldiers learned to fear the darkness. They learned that humans could be anywhere, waiting in silence, ready to kill. Walked through conquered cities without pride. He saw the destruction around him, burned buildings, empty streets, bodies waiting to be buried. War was ugly. He had always known this. But he also knew that some wars had to be fought. We did not start this, he told his soldiers. We did not want this, but we will finish it. And when it is finished, no one will ever dare to touch our people again. Dr. Park worked day and night in her laboratory. She had found the weakness she was looking for. She had developed something terrible, a pathogen that attacked only DNA. The pathogen did not kill. It was worse than that. It made unable to have children. Any infected with the pathogen would live a normal life, but they would never reproduce. Their genetic line would end with them. Presented her creation to Admiral. Her hands shook as she explained what it could do. If we release this on there, it will spread to every in existence within weeks. They will not die immediately, but within 3 generations their species will be extinct. No children, no future, just nothing. Looked at the small container in her hands. Inside was the death of an entire species. You are asking me to commit genocide, he said. Met his eyes. They murdered 10 million of us for entertainment, Admiral. They laughed while children died. I am not asking you to commit genocide. I am asking you to make sure they can never do it again. Was silent for a long time. He thought about Nu. He thought about the children. He thought about what kind of person he had become. Release it, he said finally. Human ships carried the pathogen to every colony. They released it into the atmosphere, into the water, into the air. They did not know what was happening until it was too late. By the time they discovered the truth, every in the galaxy was infected. The galaxy was horrified. The Galactic Assembly condemned humanity in the strongest terms. They called it a crime against nature. They demanded that humanity stop immediately. Humanity did not stop. Lord, the High Commander who had ordered the new massacre, sent a desperate message to Earth. He appeared on screens across the galaxy, no longer proud and arrogant. His 4 eyes were full of fear. His voice trembled. I offer peace, he said. I offer reparations. I offer territory. I offer anything you want. Please just stop. You are killing my entire species. Have mercy, I beg you. Commander intercepted the message. She was 27 years old now. She had fought in 100 battles. She had killed more than she could count. She had never forgotten her mother's face in the crowd at Nu, recorded her response, and sent it to every channel in the galaxy. "You asked us to remember our place," she said. Her voice was calm and cold. "We have. Our place is above you. Our place is standing over your graves. You showed us no mercy. You gave us no choice. Now we give you the same courtesy." She paused. Her eyes were empty, like windows into darkness. "You wanted the galaxy to see what happens to humans. Now they will see what happens to those who harm us. Your species ends here, Lord, not in glory, not in remembrance, in silence." The message ended. Lord stared at his screen in silence. He had created a monster. He had awakened something in humanity that should never have been awakened, and now that monster was coming for him. The Galactic Assembly met again. This time, the fear in the room was real. Several species had secretly reached out to Earth, offering intelligence on positions in exchange for future trade agreements. Others were simply trying to stay on humanity's good side. "The humans have gone too far," the Assembly President said. "We must do something." "Do what?" another representative asked. "Send our fleets against them. Did you see what they did to the... Do you want that to happen to us? We could all unite against them. 340 species against one. And how many would die? Millions, billions, for what? To protect the who have bullied us all for centuries." The assembly argued for hours. In the end, they decided to do nothing. Again, no one wanted to fight humanity. No one wanted to die for the... Engineer Moon watched the assembly debate from her laboratory. She felt sick. She had helped create weapons that were destroying an entire species. She had betrayed everything she had once believed in. But when she closed her eyes, she saw the children of Nu. She saw their faces. She heard their screams, and she knew that she would do it all again if she had to. "Some things are worth any price," she whispered to herself. "Some things cannot be forgiven." The war continued. The Black Armada moved closer and closer to the... Every day more died. Every day their territory shrank. Every day their hope faded. Admiral did not celebrate. He did not gloat. He simply continued, step by step, planet by planet, until the job was done. Humanity had become something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that loved deeply and hated completely. A species that never forgot and never forgave. They had wanted to teach them fear. Instead, they had taught humans something far more dangerous. They had taught humans what they were capable of when they had nothing left to lose. And now the galaxy was learning the same lesson. 18 months had passed since Nu. The Dominion, which had stood for 3,000 years, was dying. Only one world remained, Prime, where the species had first evolved millions of years ago. 12 billion civilians huddled in their cities. They had heard stories of human brutality. They had seen videos of burning colonies and destroyed fleets. They knew what was coming. They just did not know when. The final fleet gathered in orbit around the 800 warships, the last of the military. Every ship that could fly, every weapon that could fire, every soldier that could fight, all of them waited for the humans to arrive. They did not wait long. The Black Armada appeared like a storm rolling across the sky. 4,000 human warships dropped out of fold space in perfect formation. They surrounded Prime like a dark cloud, blocking out the stars. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Judgment. He looked out at a blue and green planet, beautiful in its way. Billions of lives waited below. Billions of futures that would never happen. Felt tired. He had been fighting for 18 months. He had made decisions that haunted his dreams. He had become someone he did not recognize. But he was not finished yet. "All ships prepare for battle," he said. His voice was calm, his hands were steady. "No escape pods, no survivors, today it ends." The fleet moved to intercept. Lord commanded from his flagship, the pride of, he knew he would probably die today. He knew his species would probably die today, but he would not surrender. He would not beg again. He would go down fighting. The battle began with silence. In space, there was no sound. Ships moved like dancers, spinning and turning, firing and dodging. Missiles flew between fleets like deadly fireflies. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Captain led his stealth carriers into the heart of the formation. His ships appeared from nowhere, striking at command vessels and communication hubs. They could not coordinate. They could not organize. They fought as individuals while humans fought as one. Engineer Moon watched the battle from Earth. Her dimensional fold missiles were working perfectly. They appeared inside ships, bypassing shields and armor. Explosions bloomed in the darkness as warship after warship died. "It is beautiful in a terrible way," whispered. "The death of a species." General prepared his ground forces for orbital drop. Thousands of transport ships waited behind the battle line, ready to descend when the space combat ended. They would not bomb cities. They would not kill civilians. They had a specific target, the hive clusters buried deep beneath the surface. They fought with desperation. They knew they had nothing left to lose. Some ships rammed into human vessels, sacrificing themselves to cause damage. Others fired until their weapons overheated and exploded. They fought harder than they had ever fought before. It was not enough. One by one, ships disappeared. The Pride of took heavy damage. Fires burned through its corridors. Bodies floated through broken hallways. Lord stood on his bridge, watching his fleet die around him. He made one final broadcast. "Citizens of the galaxy," he said. His voice was broken. Blood ran down his face from a wound on his head. "See what humans have become. See what they are capable of. Today they destroy us. Tomorrow they will destroy you. Do not think you are safe. Do not think they will stop with us. Humans are monsters. They will consume everything." No one responded. The galaxy watched in silence. No one came to help. No one lifted a finger. Admiral heard the broadcast. He considered responding but decided against it. There was nothing left to say. Actions spoke louder than words. "Focus fire on the flagship," he ordered. "End it." 100 human ships turned their weapons on the Pride of. The great warship, symbol of power, lasted only seconds under the assault. It broke apart in a flash of light and fire. Lord, the architect of New, died without ceremony. No one mourned him. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, not a single ship remained. The orbital space around Prime was filled with debris, twisted metal, frozen bodies, the remains of a civilization's last stand. Commander led the first wave of orbital drops. Her transport ship descended through the atmosphere, shaking and rattling as it fell. Through the window, she could see the surface below, cities of millions, roads and farms, everything a civilization needed to survive. Did not feel hate anymore. She had burned through her hate long ago. Now she felt only emptiness, a hollow place where her emotions used to be. Her ship landed near the first hive cluster. Her soldiers poured out, moving fast and efficient. They had trained for this moment. They knew exactly what to do. The hive clusters were massive underground structures, larger than anything humans had ever built. Inside them, new were born every day. They were the heart of the species, the source of all life. And they had to be destroyed. Dr. Park guided the strikes from orbit. She had maps of every cluster, every weakness point, every critical system. She directed human bombers with cold precision. Cluster 1, fire. The first bomb fell. The ground shook. Deep below the surface, the hive cluster collapsed. Thousands of unborn died in an instant. Cluster 2, fire. Another explosion, another collapse, another piece of the future erased. Counted the strikes. She had studied biology for 18 months. She had learned to see them not as monsters but as living things, creatures that loved and feared and hoped like any other species. She destroyed them anyway. Cluster 3, fire. Cluster 4, fire. The strikes continued through the day and night. One by one, the 12 hive clusters were eliminated. With each strike, the species came closer to extinction. The pathogen had already made them sterile. Now even the possibility of finding a cure was gone. Admiral watched from the judgment. He remembered the day he had decided to become a soldier 60 years ago. He had wanted to protect people. He had wanted to keep the innocent safe. He had never imagined he would end a species. He sent one final message to the planet below. Lord wanted the galaxy to see what happens to humans who stray too far. Now they will see what happens to those who harm us. Your species ends here, not in glory, not in remembrance, in silence. We will not remember you. We will not mourn you. We will simply forget you as if you never existed. The message was received but not answered. There was no one left to answer. General walked through the ruins of the last hive cluster. His boots echoed in the empty darkness. Around him, his soldiers stood silent, watching the destruction they had caused. "Is this victory?" one young soldier asked. Did not answer. He did not know what to call it. It was not victory. It was not revenge. It was simply the end. Captain remained in orbit, watching the planet below. He thought about his brother, who had died on Nu. He wondered if his brother would be proud or horrified by what they had done. Probably both. The Black Armada stayed in orbit for 3 days. They did not attack civilians. They did not bomb cities. They simply waited and watched as they realized their future was gone. There would be no more children, no more generations, no more. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. 340 species had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. They had never seen anything like this. They had never seen a species destroyed so completely, so systematically, so coldly. And they all understood the same thing. Humanity had changed. The soft, emotional, loving creatures they had dismissed for so long were gone. In their place was something new, something dangerous, something that would never forget and never forgive. On the surface of Prime, a young female sat in the ruins of her home. She was perhaps 10 years old in human terms. She did not understand what had happened. She did not know why everything was burning. A human soldier found her. He stood over her for a long moment, rifle in hand. He thought about Nu. He thought about the children who had died there. Then he lowered his weapon and walked away. He left food and water behind. Some things, not even revenge, could justify. The soldier never told anyone what he did. But in that small act of mercy, a tiny spark of humanity remained. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, even in the coldest hearts, something good could survive. The war was over. They were finished. And the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.